But I think with technology enabling us, AI and other things, to be able to analyze the design, give you reports, and then connect that back to the decision makers or the people with the expertise, whether it be a trade partner that's an expert at duct and pipe, or a superintendent that's the expert in everything overall, we're going to be able to fix that.
Welcome to the Power of Construction. I'm Sasha Reed.
And I'm Chris Langiza.
And today we have a guest with us, Paul Hedgepath from MJ Harris Construction. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip out, buddy. It's been a while, and looking forward to this conversation.
Should be good.
Yeah.
This is your first podcast?
Not quite. But
Not quite.
This is the best one. It's the best one.
Okay.
This is your
Shameless fishing expedition.
His first Procore podcast.
Okay, I'll take it. Well,
Yeah.
we're really happy to have you here on the show with us. We're excited to get into the conversation today and pick your brain a little bit on some of the work that you've been doing. But for those who may be watching who are not familiar with you or the work, let me tell them a little bit about MJ Harris Construction. The company was founded in 1995 for a single purpose: to provide owners with a highly skilled group of professional constructors who are committed to the process of delivering highly successful projects. Still rings true today, I believe. You'll tell us. One of the premier healthcare, commercial, and institutional construction management GCs in the county or in the country. Provides comprehensive pre-construction and construction services. Over 750 projects totaling about $7.2 billion and healthcare construction throughout the country. And your motto, what is the motto?
Everything we build endures.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was just...
no better way to connect to the industry than that, right?
That's
Like,
exactly.
think about the things we build, and they live on long beyond us as builders,
That's true.
and the time that we spend on those projects.
Yeah. And whether it's just a building that we're building or a relationship with an owner, we want to make sure that everything we cultivate and build is enduring, and we want to maintain that. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, then that's a good segue into your career and what is part of that leadership team that actually delivers on that. So you're the director of virtual construction. You have little over 25 years in the industry. Got us beat by a little bit.
Yeah.
Your expertise is in BIM, VDC, laser scanning, drones, and reality capture. We'll definitely want to talk to you about some of that today.
Yeah.
You're also vice chair of the National Tech Committee for ABC and confirmed chair January 2026, so next year.
Yeah.
Incoming chair.
Yep.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kind of had on a rotation. You know before you're in, and then you're supporting on your way out.
Yeah, and Paul's, you've spoken at Groundbreak, ABC National Events, Trimble Conference, and I think also a guest lecturer at Auburn University too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been lecturing down there for, 9 years. So every semester, go in and speak to all the incoming construction students. So their first tech class that they have, which is Construction Information Technology 1, go in there. So this is the first time they've ever heard about BIM, heard about anything. And so I kind of run through everything with them and talk about it. My lessons learned over the couple decades and the exciting stuff too, like robotics and all things, just really get them interested.
Well, that's kind of a perfect segue into your experience.
Yeah.
The journey that you've been through with construction technology, from like literally handing out first kind of iPads to superintendents, and then maybe having them thrown at you back. I'm not quite sure. I had a few superintendents go, what do you want me to do with this thing? It looks like a Frisbee.
Like there's another reason you have that hard hat on it.
Yeah. That's why you need to wear your hard hat, because I'm going to smack you in the head with this thing. Can you tell me a little bit about the early days and how you've seen that technology, and maybe the story you tell to the students about the evolution that technology and how it's changed over time in the construction industry?
Yeah, really starting out in 2005 or 6, when I would say VDC BIM was really getting introduced to the industry, and working with Holder back then, and having on-site coordination, and really none of the trades were modeling anything back then, or architects or anyone. So the GC's doing it all at that point. And that's kind of that process and how it evolved, and how over 20 and 25 years, we've seen different things be introduced to us, right? So we've had drones, iPads, the iPad on a job. We built a 425,000 square foot hospital in about 10 months. in 2012, and this was the first job that MJ Harris had iPads on. So back then we were using Vela.
Yep.
First time any of the guys had seen plans on an iPad, but because we were building so fast, we had to have that instant feedback in terms of, hey, there's a new drawing revision out. Everybody's got it instantly.
So it's driven by necessity.
Yeah, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Exactly. That turned into PlanGrid and it turned into Procore, but I would say that's kind of one milestone in terms of really getting, BIM's a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
But really getting the field engaged with technology. The iPad was one that's really started to change things. I would say the second one's probably 360 photos. 2017 for us, adopt instruction site, now drone deployed ground, and the ability to have something that has a tremendous value in terms of the project, but is an ease of use for the field guys. So it wasn't easy to start with. I'm out there taking pictures myself. I had the camera on my hard hat. And been given a hard time, just like you've experienced. But that evolved. To where all our field and project engineers now all have 360 photos, and we've used it a lot. Used it to basically show progress to our owners, but also find problems after the fact when it gets covered up, and it saved us. So I kind of see that as the second milestone. And then the third, Procore, right? I mean, I know I'm on the Procore podcast, but at the same point, going from Prolog to a cloud-based system that everyone can be connected to, a SaaS-based system where we have the architect and the owner and everyone involved all seeing one thing, right? We're not duplicating that work anymore. That was a huge for us. And we've been on that since around 2017, 2018 as well. And then I see the next one really being AI. I know everyone talks about AI. It seems to be a buzzword to some people, but really it's going to be the industry changer for us. And we're already starting to see that.
And how have you seen the field's receptiveness, change in attitude towards technology evolve over that time? Like, has it gone from where we were just kind of pushing things out to them to now maybe where they're more pulling from us? Or like, what's that evolution look like?
I think it has. Once we get our field team to experience BIM, right, then they're asking for it on the next one because they say, hey, that solved a problem that would have been a problem that would have taken a lot of my time and away from other things where I'm adding more quality to the job in other realms. So once they experience it once, just like with AI or other things, we're just now starting to roll that out. But once they start to see the benefit, then they're asking for it. But there always has to be that first one, right?
Yeah.
There has to be that first trial. And when I've experienced the first one, whether it's BIM or anything, there's usually those field leaders, those superintendents that are more, some of them are more tech forward, and getting those guys to be kind of our, a voice saying, hey, he tried it and it was good.
You need him to be a champion.
Yeah, be that champion, that technology champion has helped out.
Yeah, I used to always say, like, go find kind of the hardest nut to crack, that superintendent that nobody would ever believe was going to adopt technology. If you get them to do it, you can get anybody to do it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the things that we really wanted to bring you on the podcast to talk about was Procore just launched its Future State of Construction report. And this report was 2 years in the making. We interviewed over 1,200 decision makers across 8 countries. And so we were really looking for 2 things. One was, where is the industry today? And then what is the future of construction going to look like? And we really wanted to kind of push the bounds of what we're going to see in 15, maybe 20 years. But I think we landed on like 8 to 10 year vision. So there's 3 things that we really built that on, which was looking at platforms, people, and data, and really believing that that's the future state, is that's really going to become the foundation for the future of productivity, the future of design, the future of decision-making, and then the future of the workforce.
Yeah.
And so as we're, interviewing and talking about it, we've uncovered some things that are some of the gaps current state. So 45% of projects are currently running over budget and 20% behind schedule. And we're looking at about 28% of a project's time basically focusing on some of that rework. What we believe is that there's a paradigm shift that's occurring. So going from the iPad days that you're talking about here to where we are today, and you've already been through one phase of digitization within the industry, but now we're really looking at the full transformation of that business. So AI, automation, data-driven decision-making. Let's start with productivity as one of the things to discuss here. So if we think about productivity, a lot of what we're saying was an 8 to 10 year range for some of those future state realities
Yeah.
to be pulled forward. Do you looking at the same time frame, or are you looking at something sooner than that?
I think it's going to be sooner. So, I mean, 8 to 10, it's probably the latest it would be. But in terms of productivity and the way that we're starting to see some of agentic AI and other things really supplement some of the things we're doing, and it's going to be faster. And it's hard to really measure, right? You think about that in terms of just general, Chat GPT and other things, and people really can't tell, between, 10 months between 3.5 and 4,
Right.
and the benchmark test. And like, oh, we didn't even expect that, but
Mhm.
there it is.
Mhm.
So when you have something that can't be measured like that, I think it's going to accelerate, and it may be 5 years, maybe less, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And are there like certain use cases that you think are going to be like almost immediate that we're going to start seeing the use cases of a lot of this automation for, versus other things that might be maybe a little bit further down the road, whether it's, robotics or some of the other things? Like, which ones do you think are closest that people can reach for now versus things that maybe, hey, we still got a ways to go on this?
I think some of the use cases right now, of course, 360 photos, and that's there. And it has been for the past 4 or 5 years. That's something everybody can reach for now. It's a very low lift for a company. Drone deploy ground, like we're using, and with them tying together with air, it's also been good. I think AI is getting there very fast. I mean, we're deploying agentic AI on some of our jobs now, where it's helping us do those tasks that take an assistant PM or a PM they have to do all the time. And so some middle checking, stuff like that, RFI verification, anything that involves checking a drawing and then going and checking other stuff. So we're using, we use Copilot for Procore Copilot for some things. We're using Data Grid for a lot of the agentic custom AI stuff that we're building. And it's starting to work out. And so I think as those base models improve, which they're all running off of, and they keep getting released, you have Meta and you have Google and other people releasing these base models, then it just instantly makes that software better.
Yeah.
So that's still emerging, but it's something that people are using today.
And is this an area where you're seeing more pull come from the field and people wanting to use these things, or is it like you're still trying to spread the word on the use cases and what could it be used for?
I think for AI, it's a mix right now. It's kind of like BIM was maybe 20 years ago. People know it's beneficial, but at the same time, they want to be able to trust it. So we're in the trust phase right now. I think with things like 360 photos and drones and all that stuff, it's probably proven now. There's I would say 90% trust in that kind of stuff.
Let's talk about a couple other like future technologies. One being robotics.
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel about that? Are you guys using any of it today? Where do you see it headed?
In terms of robotics, I think Boston Dynamics, of course, started all with a robot dog, and you saw it few and far between in terms of who could get it because of the expense. Again, I think the main use case for robotics, outside of maybe the J-Bot, where it's actually doing something, which it's my favorite robot, by the way, because it does something, right?
Yeah,
It's very cool, too. But we're starting to see things like teleworker AI, where you're having the Unitree robots, and they're renting these to jobs. And so you're able to use this robot like you'd rent anything. You're going to rent a tool or a piece of equipment, heavy equipment. You're renting this robot out there, and it is doing the imaging for you. And then you can go on to the next job. So there's not that huge investment that you had before. You're starting to see humanoids from Unitree that are like $19,000 now.
Yeah.
And so as that hardware cost reduces, we're going to start seeing that adoption. So I think in the next 5 years, it's not going to be a marketing thing or a novelty thing for GCs. It's going to be a thing that we start doing. Well, our field engineers do 360 photos and capture things, but they got all these other jobs too, right?
Yeah.
So if you got something that can just do it, and consistently, hey, maybe I can get it every day instead of once a week or once every 2 weeks, then that's going to be a benefit.
And one of the ways that I really always think about it is like these robots are really just more tools for us in the toolbox, right? They're not just the things that are going to take over work. Like the Jibot's like awesome, but it still requires a human to operate, right?
Yeah.
It's just a faster way to put anchors in, right? And when you think about, some of the other things like the layout robots, right? It's not that much of a leap from where we were with robotic total stations, but now it can put a lot more information on the ground, right? And if we really like contextualize this and we think about these as like, these are tools that must fit into your processes and systems.
Yeah.
like, I think the thing that becomes evident in that is how do we integrate them into our systems and into our workflows and into, into the toolkits that we give to the field for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So good.
Well, I was going to say, because this all sounds good enough in itself, but what about that integration piece of how all these different tools, because right now you're experimenting, doing a little R&D, you have 360 photos, but is that, because we talk about platform, people, data, are those technologies integrating into the overall process or your SOPs? Is that data flowing through?
Yes. So that's something, as long as we're making sure that we have an SOP and a project deployment plan, saying, yeah, we're going to use BIM on this job. We're using 360 photos, and this is how we're going to use that. So every job we do, have a kickoff meeting internally with our team just to talk about that tech stack. A big portion of that's BIM, right? Because we have external players with trade partners, but a lot of it has to do with the other tech. So do we want to use a robotic total station on this job? Are we going to laser scan? Why do we want to do that? And then we log all that in Procore, and then that's our SOP for that job, custom SOP for that. And then we have our overall, processes as well. So if you don't do that, then you're just kind of like saying, "Hey, this thing's cool. Why don't you try this?"
Exactly.
You want to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
From the leadership project.
And are you identifying like key outcomes of what you're trying to drive by using those technologies? I.e., like, hey, we want to cut down on coordination time, or we want to, avert any rework or anything like that. Do you have like outcome based goals along those, or is it something that is like, hey, we know we're going to do this because we're going to need it?
Outcome based, right? Yeah. So it's an existing facility. We know we're going to have problems with this in terms of, so we need reality capture. We need to scan with our X7 and do that type of thing. So it's really like, I understand what we need from a tech stack on a job, but until you really talk to the guys and they say, oh, by the way, there's also this that you may not have known about, the details of the project. So does that kind of answer?
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing from you is like, you have to work with the teams to understand the challenges that they are expecting at the beginning of the project, to then plan out which tech stack you're going to put in place on a project by project basis. It's not the same on every job because each job is presented with different different challenges that you have to address.
And then that adoption's easier because this is something that everybody wants, right? They've agreed to it early on and they said, yeah, let's do that. That makes sense from a construction standpoint, not a Paul technology standpoint, right?
Yes.
So it's not just the cool thing. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of carrying this through because ideally, if you've deployed this technology in some of these automation process, the ability to automate onto the job site, you're getting more data. You're actually getting and capturing the data from the work itself, which should then come back to informing the team. So if I think about the future of decision making, each of these applications has information that's coming back to the team. And our view of that future state is that more decisions will be data driven. So we're moving away from the gut instinct of, from my time in the industry, there were shouting matches that determined outcomes and why something happened. I'm not going to say it was the most rational way to solve it, but it was the way we solved it. But I'm thinking about all these tools that you're talking about deploying, and what are you seeing along the terms of having a team who's data ready, who can make decisions from a data analysis standpoint? Are you getting your teams ready for that now?
Yes. I read that in the report as well, and it's something that's huge and that we don't always do a good job of as an industry. Something will happen on a job, and then it may happen 5 more times, especially big companies, right? They're all, sometimes you see these silos. So if there's ways to capture our lessons learned, not just from, a lot of times when you think about lessons learned, or people think of historical cost databases, pre-construction and that type of thing, but really the things that are going on while we build the building.
Right.
And so where it's not just in my head, because I'm coordinating steel openings on the same kind of job, but it's everyone has that access. So that's something we're working to capture more of, and then also have a debrief early on. I guess a debrief of the job that just happened, and then brief the new team early on. So these are the things for this type of job that we need to look out for.
Are you doing a knowledge transfer in that, so that there's a knowledge transfer between the finished project and the project starting up?
Yes. I guess I would say yes.
It's occurring.
Yes, it is occurring.
Yeah.
Could it get better? Of course, but I think that's something that's going to be a continuous improvement thing
Right.
for forever, for every company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people get busy.
Yep.
Sometimes people are on more than one job at once, right?
People leave the company.
People leave.
Yeah, right.
You're like, oh, what did that superintendent figure out? He's gone now.
Yeah.
Right?
I know we just solved this problem on another project. How
Yeah.
do we solve it on this one? That person's gone. I don't know what they did. Those kind
Yeah.
of things. I'd love to go back to something that Sasha said, which is like, decisions in construction traditionally have been made by strong personalities yelling at each other, and the loudest voices usually makes, or whoever has the trusted gut instinct, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious if you're seeing that shift, and if maybe, do you think superintendents are capable of changing the way that they make decisions, or even project managers, and being more data driven? Like what are you seeing? Is there any trends that you're seeing now that would indicate, hey, we can use the data, we can be more informed when we make these decisions?
Yes. It's shifting. As they start to see more stuff in front of them early on, then they're able to make these decisions, and it's not as a intense, high stress, we got to get it done tomorrow because this is going in. These guys are standing around waiting. Mm-hmm. So we have a UA Arts job we're building in Tuscaloosa, 140 million or so, and we do virtual BIM meetings, right? But we're also on site, so I'm coming out there and meeting with the superintendent, and that superintendent is leading a lot of the meeting. This is our senior superintendent, been doing it for 30 plus years, and he's up there having us navigate and point at the model and direct it and making decisions based off that. And that would never have happened prior to BIM, and it's just something that the decisions he's making with all the foremen in the room with us are calm decisions, right? Because we know we have time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Once you run out of time, everything gets rushed, and it's just whatever you need to do to survive. And this is allowing that. And you can say the same for all the types of technology that we use. Everything that we do is to help us prepare for building the building. Everything
So there's two things that are needed. It sounds like data and insights, but also time, right?
Yeah.
The time to make those decisions and to actually evaluate the data and to better understand, like, hey, we can actually go evaluate this and we have enough data to inform ourselves.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about BIM, right? And kind of this planning process that you go through to try and support the field to catch the problems before then, right? And one of the things that we talk about in the report is kind of this future of design, right? And that, design and construction are oftentimes very separate, right? We know that BIM is highly valuable for improving project outcomes. Yeah. But in the future, like I envision, and I think the report envisions that design is going to be a lot more integrated into construction, right? There's going to be much more user-friendly tools than exist today. I imagine a world where like that superintendent can actually make changes to the design because it's not so complicated as it is today. And so we can really democratize that design process, democratize the engineering parts of it. What's your take on a shift more back towards like this master builder, and that contractors are going to play a much larger role in informing or even controlling the constructability of design?
I think it's going to happen sooner than we think. We've been talking about IPD for a very long time in my career, but it's still kind of a one-off or regionalized thing from what I've seen, West Coast, that kind of stuff. But I think with technology enabling us, AI and other things, to be able to analyze the design, give you reports, and then connect that back to the decision makers or the people with expertise, whether it be a trade partner that's an expert at duct and pipe, or a superintendent that's the expert in everything overall. We're going to be able to fix that. Not that it's necessarily broken, but just make it better, right?
Yeah.
To where we're all one builder, we're all one team. Some contracts may have to change.
Yeah,
that's
a big one, right? Like
that's not it may not be IPD, but it's going to be something. Once it becomes easier. Yeah. I think what's limiting us right now is it's not so easy, and it's still foreign to a lot of owners, and they say, I'm just going to do CM at risk. That's what I'm used to. But when the technology enables us, then we're going to start to see that change.
And what do you see changing in the design? Like, what will be different when the field, the contractor, even the owner who has, maybe more information about how these things should operate down the end of the chain or how they should be built? What's actually going to change in that process, do you think?
I think as we start to I would say maybe even schematic design, schematic design is going to go through something, and it's going to do comparison of all these other types of buildings that we've built and all the data that we've been able to capture, and then give design input on that. And then it's going to go to the builder that's already going to be under the contract, and all the people that we should know who the superintendent's going to be, maybe, but some superintendent will be able to review it, and then software that enables us to give input. Say, all right, these are the things I see. And then all that's going to be organized very clearly, and then go back to the design team, and they'll be able to continue that design. Now that whole process be instant, right? So as they're designing, instant. But it'll be some method to where they're not constantly drawing one thing that, oh, now I got to draw something else because Fred, the superintendent, said that's not going to work. It's going to be something that's streamlined, and it allows them to design quicker. So they want to do it, and then it's going to allow us to build more efficiently. Yeah, because that's what we want ultimately, right?
And I mean, you've been on the BIM bandwagon for a long time, as have I.
Yeah,
we've obviously run into some challenges in that space, but one of the things I get really excited about, and I'd love your take on this, and I think you're a pretty big user of the Procore BIM collaboration tools, is that when I think about all the decisions that are made on how we're going to coordinate something or how we're going to optimize a design, like every time we create one of those issues, we're recording a decision, right? And then every time we end up with, quote unquote, an as-built model, we have a system that is optimized for something. Maybe it's constructability, maybe it's functionality. Yeah. How do you think all that data starts to change the way that we integrate ourselves into the design and the construction process more deeply?
It's accountability. Anything, right? Because you're capturing things, we're making decisions, and then we are becoming designers to some aspect, right? Even though it's constructability, and some people say means and methods, but it's integrating us into the process more, and it's also providing transparency, whereas it didn't before. I think UAB Genomics was the first one where we used Procore BIM and coordination issues, and that was the first time that in 20 years that I've really been out of the silo, right? Wow. And you can ask Dave, because I was a naysayer. I was like, oh, we don't need coordination issues and that stuff. And then I got it. I was like, oh, I understand now. I think it took me 2 or 3 years to get it. And I was like, oh man, 2 or 3 years of pain, right? So the ability to get everybody's eyes on the model, everybody's eyes on these coordination issues and these things that are going on, so where it's not just me and the detailers, but the PM, the superintendent. So like we talked about earlier, with getting all those guys involved early, it's starting to happen now. With coordination issues and that, but it'll just continue to increase to where it's an instant kind of thing with AI and even earlier on. So
if I circle back, it's democratizing all of that data and all that information around the model and how we can impact how the design happens. And then what we hope, right, or what I think we'll see happen is we'll use that data to automate processes, right, to eliminate the human error, to allow us to engage, more field input without actually necessarily having to pull people out of the field, which I think is another challenge that we have. I think they would all love to sit down and review all this stuff all the time, but back to our time conversation that we have. So I have one other thing that we didn't really touch on that I wanted to dive in a little bit. I mean, you've done some work with Wearables over the time of all the contact that you've been working with. Is there anything that you're excited about in that space? Do you think that maybe construction is actually finally ready for wearables, or are we still in this kind of start-stop space when it comes to wearables?
I think we're ready. And this was probably 5 years ago. We had the XR10 on a UAB data center, a job in downtown Birmingham, and bringing it out there, and the superintendent was using it, a mechanical foreman. They saw the benefit. They put it on the pipe fitter. Man, love this. And that's an honest reaction. So I would use this every day. And so that was 5 years ago. So now we're starting to see this evolution with Meta. There's some exciting stuff coming out with them to where this stuff's getting smaller, cheaper, to where eventually we're going to have safety glasses tethered to our phones, and it's going to have everything we want on it. It's going to be all the contract docs. It's going to have every code you could ever think of. It's going to have the constructability of a particular trade, to where we have this labor shortage right now, and it's going to help with that. It's going to help get people to be a master plumber faster, because they've got this on-the-job training with AI, with wearables, with heads-up displays. I mean, it sounds space age, but people that were talking about the internet and things like that probably thought the same thing, and it's going to happen sooner than you think. I would say next 5 years, we're going to start seeing that deployed massively.
Yeah. I mean, this concept of like taking AI to the edge, right?
Yeah.
Like wearables, I think is the unlock, in my opinion, for wearables in construction. I think if you're just using it to track things, like that's not the solution at the end of the story, because that's not providing any value to the actual person wearing the wearable.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start to feed them information like you're talking about, you start to get them answers in real time. You start to give them an incentive on why they're wearing the thing, right? Whether that is tracking the work that they're doing, or even giving feedback to leadership on the amount of stress and strain on their bodies that are happening out on the job site, which we're seeing with some wearables. There's some really interesting things that I think potentially come to fruition here around how do we actually provide a wearable that's valuable to the field versus just like something that's, well, cool, we got a bunch more data than we had before, right? Like that's a big challenge that I think we have.
And I'm curious because it sounds like we're very aligned, because even some of the things you're saying back to us of what your vision is of that future state is very aligned to some of the predictions we were making. And we as the Royal Procore, but I'm curious, are we thinking big enough? Is there anything that you're looking to, or you're looking on the horizon of a future state that we didn't talk about here, but is an even bigger vision than what we're doing today or what we talked about here today?
We've covered a lot of things. I mean, I keep going back to AI, and I think there's things that the capability we just don't even know about. Right. So it's just that's my top priority of anything right now, just because of the sheer potential of how it's going to change everything. So,
and do you see any of it influencing or shaping the relationships between the field, the project manager, construction manager, the designer, the architect, the engineer, the owner? Do you see the technology influencing or shaping those relationships differently than they are today?
I think it will, especially with AI. It's too early to say that, but just talking about Procore and them, that has changed the relationship with our design team. And I've seen that since I started adopting it just a few years ago. They're more engaged. It's more of a team effort. It's more of that master builder mentality. I think the technology does bring us together and get us out of the silos more than anything. So that is a big change.
I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And we keep saying that even with those innovations, we then get pulled back into those siloed relationships based on the contract.
Yeah.
Do you see anything where, we talked about IPD. Do you see anything that's maybe shifting in another new contract type on the horizon with some of these change relationships?
I have not with the jobs we do. They're all kind of the same, but I know they're out there. So somebody else.
When you find them, please
let
me know. We want to break the news here.
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, somebody else on the podcast probably has some cool contract delivery methods. Yeah, healthcare and those things. Most of the time, it seems to be. I mean, we do a lot of higher ed too, but or design bid build. So
very consistent delivery method. In that.
Hey, we're good at it though. So yeah.
Well, we were listening. We're actually listening and having a conversation with somebody from GE Healthcare, who was looking at more of the patient piece of the business, but they're already looking at leveraging automation and AI and robotics. They're serving information to a surgeon who in the moment may have encountered something he can't scrub out and go research it. So the ability to call back and say, hey, I'm encountering this issue. What do I do? And then having a large language model that then allows them to, through regular conversational, query the model and then bring information to them, looking at kind of like this master set of all these other surgeons and what they've experienced. And so I'm excited to think about how that then starts to go for the owner side of that. Now as these healthcare agencies and owners start to explore how AI it embeds within their business, we also think about how it then could get embedded into some of their projects and the way that they're creating their assets. And so I think that's a piece like we're really excited when we start to see that piece coming into the future as well.
Yeah. You think about a building, it's just like a human body, right? Everyone's a little bit different. Everyone has different problems, and being able to capture all that data, just like the medical field, and then bring it back when someone has a question. It's great.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like we're seeing it in some other industries and kind of peeking into those other industries and hoping we can pull some of those lessons forward and start to actually experience what some of those look like.
Yeah.
So Paul, we've talked about a lot of things here, right? We've talked about, productivity with automation and augmentation, robotics, AI. We've talked about kind of shifts in how we design and like the role of the master builder in construction. We've talked about, how do we make better data-driven decisions with, whether it's larger data sets that are informing the next projects. What's your thought on timeline on these things coming to reality? I know you said sooner or earlier, but tomorrow, but
get ready.
Are these like
Get
a
ready,
5-year
guys.
thing? Is it like 5 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Or are we talking like 5 months? Like, I don't know. Like,
I don't know either because AI, I don't know.
yeah.
I think the hardware stuff is going to be 10 years.
Okay.
So where the robots and that kind of stuff, I think it's going to, I mean, it's been kind of quick with some of the stuff that Tesla's come out with and all that, but I think commonplace is 10 years. I don't know with AI and the other stuff though.
Yeah. So the data and AI stuff seems to be moving way faster than anything else. And I mean, even in the time between us starting the report and issuing the report, and even like starting and recording this podcast, and probably when these episodes air, right? The changes are happening so rapidly that it is absolutely blows my mind at some of the things that are possibly able to happen that we just didn't think were possible a year or two ago, and now are because of the tools that we have in our quiver, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, we're going to have to, like, a year from now, come back and be like, okay, how were our predictions? How accurate? How close to the pin were we in these predictions?
I'll feel really good if we're just there in 2 years and everybody's like, hey, Chris, time to update this. We're already done with that 10-year forecast.
Just throw that report away. Everything's true in your report.
We're already doing all those things.
Make it obsolete.
What's the next one? And then we start talking about like building on the moon or something like that. I don't know.
Lunar construction is a real thing.
Or
Mars, if you talk to Elon, right?
That's right.
Yes,
That's right.
Lots of opportunity. Building will never hit an end. Like, we will always be building something somewhere. If we ever do run out of space on this planet, I'm sure we'll start building on other ones. All right, Paul, we're at that point in the conversation when we start to ask you some rapid fire questions. So 1 sentence, maybe 2 sentences, but real quick answers to these. So the first one is, what book would you recommend that you've either read or you're reading right now?
Right now I'm reading Getting Big Things Done. So that's a good one. It was actually recommended to me by my buddy Todd. He runs all the tech at Choate. And he said, hey, I'd recommend the assistant PMs, and VDC guys read this. And he's not like sending me books all the time. So I was like, oh, well, this is probably pretty good. And he's right. So it's giving you explanations of when planning has been good and when lack of planning has been bad on all different types of things, whether it's going to be the Sydney Opera House or maybe even how Pixar plans versus other companies. So it's been good. I like it. So
awesome. What's your go-to source for gaining either a different or a more informed perspective?
Asking guys in the field, people that are using the tech and saying, does this really matter to you or not? Has this saved you time or a benefit? And if it's not, then trying to figure out how to change what I'm doing to where it is a benefit to those guys. Now I would say second would be asking other people like you, right? They're in the tech, they've been using it and saying, if you use this, is it good or not? Right? Trying to get their opinion prior to me trying something out. It's always a good thing.
You like to be on the cutting edge, but not the bleeding edge.
Yeah, kind of in the middle somewhere. Right?
If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Take more risks, try more things, and not worry so much about, end results, right? So take more chances.
And buy NVIDIA.
Buy NVIDIA, buy Apple, buy Amazon. By Bitcoin.
What's one trend or innovation that you think is going to shape the future of construction?
I've been saying it a lot, but AI, right? That's going to shape everything that we do. So I'm going to stick with that answer, even though I sound like a fanboy.
It's all right. It's okay. Fan away.
At this point, I don't understand how it can't.
It's got to be the answer.
There's just too many signals that are saying it's going to change the way that we work.
Yeah.
All right. If construction as an industry had a tagline, what would it be?
Well, when I lecture at Auburn, I always say construction is controlled chaos. So that would be my general tagline. But I did Chat GPT this as well.
I can't wait.
Good ones.
I can't wait to see what Chat GPT came up with.
Homework.
So yeah, I guess this is kind of cheating, but
that's all right.
It's not cheating. It's using. You can't think that using AI is cheating. We need to change that. Change that perception.
Right. Just edit that part out. All right. So here's what Chat GPT 4.0 said. So this is a good one. Built on caffeine, duct tape, and sheer will. So that's.
Pretty accurate. We've all seen the memes of the construction worker that's holding on to like 2 Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Right.
That's gonna get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Has that on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hand that out in the field.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And then measure twice and change order once. Not MJ Harris.
Wow.
I mean, this is like the
humor.
the quintessential change order is the big boat, right? And the dinghy is original contract, like a little play on where it's. I didn't know that ChatGPT was so funny.
That's what I was saying. Like, I'm really surprised by the humor.
It does really get our industry, though. Let's be honest.
Either that, or it's looking at us like silly humans. We're already that much further ahead than you.
Like, I've got to entertain you. So.
I'm glad you did that. You're the first to do that yet on the podcast, and I'm glad you did. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining us today. Really excited that you came and sat down with us. And it's interesting just to see what you and the team are doing and that symbiotic relationship between you and the field, which is clearly driving a lot of the innovation. So thank you so much for coming. And
thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching, if you want to download your copy of The Future State of Construction, there is a link in the description. And if anything that we talked about here really resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll keep bringing you the stories of builders who are building our future through the power of construction. Thanks again.